Welcome, YouTube people. So today we're going to be doing the part 2, as you can see, with Twitch chat. We're going to be doing the part 2 set review for the upcoming set 2, which basically has both set 2 and 3 on it together. And so this set will, of course, contain support for Dark Irregulars, Pale Moon, and my favorite, Dimension Police. So we're going to take a look at which cards are good, which cards will last. We're going to get the second wave of support for Dark Irregulars and Pale Moon in Japanese in just a couple of days, so I can really tell you which cards will last in the long term as well. So we're going to go from my least favorite to most favorite clan, and so we're going to start off with Dark Irregulars. So Dark Irregulars gets 2 basic starters. This one is the Vermilion Gatekeeper. And so he's just Forerunner, and then you put him into your Soul and Soul Charge 1. So basically a Soul Charge of 2, which is pretty alright. We see chat is going hyper. Pretty hyper. And then the other one is, of course, the Devil in Shadow, which is a counterblast 1, look at top 5 to Surge a grade 3. This one is actually used more because the grade 3s in this deck are pretty important to grab, and so for that reason it's pretty good. Then Doreen the Thruster, this will be a V coupon exchange, so this will be available from tournament mode, so you don't need to sweat about pulling it too much, but this card is of course very key. This is one of the best cards in Dark Irregulars as a whole. And so its skill is, when you Soul Charge during your main phase, it gains plus 3000, and this of course stacks. So this will be, going up by 3k every single time you Soul Charge, and so it's really good for that reason. You want to get 4 if possible, but of course don't sweat too much if you don't, because you'll be able to get them from the V coupon. Then we're not going to look at everything, of course. Like, for example, cards like this Succubus is on place, Soul Charge 1 is a staple, you need to have 4. This card doesn't see much use. This is the Devil Child. So this is just when it boosts Vanguard, you have 6 or more soul, it's a 10k booster, so it's pretty okay, but not that important. This is an 8k vanilla. This is when it boosts a blue dust, gets plus 3k, so it's a 10k booster. For a 9k though, so it's like a blaster blade basically. Then this card is pretty good, which is the Bloody Calf. So this is a Vanguard and Rearguard circle on place. You may counterblast 2 and retire one of your opponent's grade 1 or lower rearguards. So you can basically snipe their back row just like that, and it's pretty good if you need to get rid of some of those pesky starters, pesky grade 1s that they have. In the mirror match you might want to pop their Doreen and things like that. But of course it is counterblast 2, which is a little bit heavy, but this deck does actually have a lot of retire going for it. Then the Amon cards are, of course, in this set. This one is, during your turn, if you have 6 or more soul, this card gets plus 3k. So basically it's a 9k booster. So if you don't have Doreen, and you still want something good to boost with, then the grade 1 Amon will definitely make do for that purpose. Then this card is Gwyn the Ripper. This card is alright. It's basically a Blaster Blade slash Berserk Dragon, so on plays, counterblast 2, and you may retire one of your opponent's grade 2 or lower rearguard. So it's just like Berserk Dragon. It's pretty nice for that reason, but of course you don't want to run too many because the counterblast is pretty heavy and this deck does not have any form of countercharge. But to take care of intercepts, to go for that game-winning turn, he will be pretty important, but I can't really vouch for how well he will last. Like, at the cards we've looked at so far, Doreen will definitely last forever. Like, these cards, this Succubus will last forever. The Amon cards maybe even will last forever. Gwyn the Ripper, a bit questionable. Not too sure on that one, but still, if you get it, of course you do want to use it. Then we have the Sarael. So she has Restraint, she's an 11k grade 2, and you may Soul Blast 2 to lose her Restraint, and then when she is boosted, she gains, on Vanguard Circle, she gains plus 5k power. So kind of like Brutal Jack, basically, except for a Soul Blast 2 for the cost in order to release Restraint, but quite a lot of people do use her simply because of the 11k base, and so that's pretty important, and so that is pretty good. Then going forward, we have this Succubus, which is also an on-place Soul Charge 1, so this will definitely be a 4 of in your deck, but also, of course, it's only a rare, so very easy to get. This is the 10k Vanilla, which can be searched with the Adel Rose that we'll take a look at in a moment. Then this Succubus is also used by some people, which is when it's on Vanguard Circle, every time you place a rearguard, you get to Soul Charge 1. So it's like when you ride her, you can just drop a whole board, and then you just Soul Charge a bunch, but of course keep in mind that you will use your long-term resources for that purpose. Grade 2 Amon is, if you have 6 or more soul, it's a 12k attacker, so this will be pretty good because basically going into this set, you're going to see Blouse, you're going to see maybe even some Ambers and things like that have 12k base grade 2s, so you want to be able to hit them without having to commit a booster, and cards like the grade 2 Amon are pretty good for that reason. Blue Dust is pretty alright. When his attack hits anything, you may Soul Charge 1, so whether it hits Rearguard or Vanguard, you're going to be able to get yourself a Soul Charge, which is pretty good for that reason, and so it is good to run him. And so now we get to the grade 3s, and of course the triple rares are quite good, and actually some of the rares are also pretty decent for this as well. So, first things first is the most noteworthy card. This card is the biggest quality of life that you will ever have in Vanguard Zero. Even if you never want to play Dark Irregulars, No Life King will literally save you some sweat. So he has two skills. First skill is, at the beginning of your main phase, you may Soul Charge 1, and then you gain 2k for that turn, so he's going to be 13k attacker, which is going to be pretty good for the long term as well. And then his second skill is, when he attacks the Vanguard, you may, if you have 5 damage, exactly 5 damage, you choose all the cards in your damage zone and put them into your soul. And then if you did, he gains plus 10,000, plus 1 crit, and at the end of that turn, you put the top 5 cards of your deck face down in your damage zone. And now you might actually be able to work it out already, but what this card does is it dodges the 4 damage or less requirement for character fights. So what you can do when new character fights come out is beat them once with all the clans themselves. So for example, just like, let's say Dimension Police comes out, you beat it with Dimension Police but on 5 damage, and then you're like, okay, let me bring in my No Life King deck, attack with No Life King when I'm on 5, and then you win on 0 damage. So this really does help, and honestly, it really is a lifesaver when it comes to getting through that 4 damage or less requirement. So honestly, even if you don't ever want to play Dark Regulars, I recommend, not being too salty when you pull this card, simply because it will be useful for that. Then Idle Rose, we already mentioned. This is basically a Gancelot. So her skill is in hand, you put her back to deck and search your deck for a Werewolf Zeger, which is this card. So you basically search yourself with 10k vanilla, which is really, really good. And then her second skill is, if you have, when she's on Vanguard Circle, if you have a Werewolf Zeger in your soul, then you may Counterblast 2 to get plus 5k and 1 critical, and we have a sub as well on Twitch, Revolution91156 with a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Welcome to the club and the very own Face Gang. So, continuing on, so basically this card, it is a 9k base. It's literally Gancelot. It's in every possible way Gancelot, except that instead of searching for a 9k, like Gwyn the Ripper that can retire something, it searches you for a 10k that, is a 10k intercept, so it's pretty good for that reason. And then of course, one of the most notable, most memorable cards of the clan is the Amon. So Amon got a pretty nice upgrade. He's 11k base power now, so that is definitely an extra. And then his skill is, during your turn, for each one of your souls, you gain plus 1k. So that's really good. You basically, if you have 6 soul, he gains plus 6k on your turn. Perfect. So you get to hit over defensive numbers and all that good stuff. Then his second skill is once again a retire. Counterblast 1 and put one of your rearguards into your soul. And if you do, then you choose a random one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. But it prioritizes the back row. So what happens is that essentially you use a skill, and you can use it more than once per turn. So let's say if your opponent has a full board and you have 5 Counterblast, you're going to do Counterblast 1, suck a rearguard into soul, pop an opponent's back row. And then you do 2 more times, back row, and then you do it 2 more times, then front row. So that's how it works. But if your opponent doesn't have a back row, you're going to be hitting their front row. So that's also really good. But of course, if they have like 3 back row, then if you want to actually get rid of the front row, chances are you're going to have to use a lot of Counterblast for that. So it's probably better to use like Gwyn the Ripper for things like that instead. So of course it does add soul to your account as well, so he gets more powerful, and cards like Doreen activate as well. But keep in mind that you do lose rear guards, you do lose cards from hand in order to do this effect. And then of course a very nostalgic card is the Steel Vampire. So his skill is, at the beginning of your main phase, you may Soul Charge 1 and then gain plus 2k power. So he's only 10k base, so he's going to be 12k. And then his Mega Blast is very memorable. Soul Blast 6, Counterblast 4, and you choose one of your opponent's rearguards and put it on their Vanguard Circle as stand, and it becomes their Vanguard. And then on your opponent's next turn, at the beginning of their next turn, they can then choose one card from their soul and ride it. So basically, this is, a very memorable card. Back when, Tetsu beat Aichi with it. And of course, it is a pretty hefty cost, but this can definitely be a really strong finisher because it works on Rearguard Circle as well. So you can be sitting on cards like Amon, just building up power, and then blast it all out and just be able to use this really, really strong skill to actually get it out. So it's pretty good for that reason. And then we have another nice budget grade 3, which is the Beelzebub. So Beelzebub is when you have 6 or more soul, he has a permanent plus 1k, so he's 11k base. And then when he attacks, if you have 6 or more soul, you may counterblast 2 to give for that turn 2 of your rear guards plus 3k. So it's a little bit underwhelming, but with all the power that you get in this deck from Doreen and Amon and things like that, it's actually pretty okay. The other grade 3 that a lot of people see running is the Demon Eater. So she is once again, during the beginning of your main phase, you may soul charge 1 and for that turn gain 2k. And then when her attack hits anything, you may soul blast 6, counterblast 4 to retire all of your opponent's rear guards. So you basically just nuke their board when she hits anything, so she can hit a rear guard to just get rid of everything else. And so it's pretty good for that reason. Many people do run this as a backup. And then finally we have the Earth Gunner. So this is when he's boosted, he gains plus 3k. So Dark Irregulars, is it good? Somewhat, yes. If you have everything, it is pretty nice. But of course, if you don't have, like for example, the No Life Kings, the Adel Roses, like I only have 2, or the Amons, the budget build, of course, is going to be looking at these cards for the most part, and then it depends on how good your soul charging engine is. You probably want to run something like this Succubus, you know, to help that out, and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, but a lot of cards will last into the next set. I think people will still, I don't know how much of this they'll be running. Maybe the Amon still. I think like this Succubus will still be run. 10k Vanillas, of course, still be run. I think Adel Rose will definitely still be run in the future as well. And then as well as the Gwyn the Ripper, I think will still be played at like a 2 copies or so. And so cards like that, and of course Doreen the Thruster. So those are the cards that will be lasting. Then let's take a look at Pale Moon, one of my favorite clans. So I really recommend, if you want to play Pale Moon in the English game, to check out my deck and fight with the Alice Golden Beast Tamer deck. I really covered it in really big depth to just talk about what this deck can do, the combos it can do, what it's worth, and stuff like that. McVendel with a €5 donation. Love your content, man. Keep up the great work. And hey, YouTube. So you got a paid hello, YouTube, basically. But thank you so much, man. That's really, really appreciated. All right, so let's get back on track talking about Pale Moon. So again, 2 starters. This one is the same. You put it into the soul and soul charge 1. And then this one is the one you want to run, which is counterblast 1, put into soul, and look at top 5 for grade 3. Then one of the key cards, this will be a staple for Pale Moon for years to come, which is Purple Trapezes. So Purple Trapezes skill is, when placed on rearguard circle, you may choose one of your other rearguards and put it into your soul, and then you choose a card that is not Purple Trapezes from your soul and call it. So basically, you just put it down, put something you want in the soul into your soul, and then call something else out. So you can like put a grade 1 in, call a grade 2 out, put a grade 3 in, put a grade 2 out, you know, things like that. And of course this does combo in interesting ways as well, because you have a bunch of on-hit skills that call out stuff from the soul, so then you can make new columns. So we're going to look at one of those cards right now. So for example, here we have the Midnight Bunny. So Midnight Bunny is when the attack she boosted hits a Vanguard, you may counterblast 1 and put her into the soul, and choose a card that is not Midnight Bunny from your soul and call it to rearguard circle. So yes, they do call a stand, and so basically how it works is you hit with her, counterblast 1, put it into the soul, and then you call a Purple Trapezist, and then the thing that Midnight Bunny boosted in front of it, you put it into the soul and recall it out. So you get a whole free attack out with the boost. So it's like a 15k, 18k, you know, really, really nice. And so it's really good for that reason. So Purple Trapezist, absolute 4 of. Like, you can maybe get away with 3, but in my opinion, this will be a card that lasts forever in Pale Moon, and it will always be good. So that's important. Night Juggler is on place, soul charge 1, so pretty good. The Turquoise Beast Tamer got a buff. She's now 7k base power, and then if you have a Crimson Beast Tamer in your soul, she gets plus 3k power, so 10k booster is actually really big, nothing to scoff at. This will also be played in quite a few decks going forward too. This is the 8k Vanilla. This is the starting presenter. When you ride on top of him, soul charge 2, not really that useful. This is when it's placed, you may put 1 card from your hand into your soul. So if you want to put specific pieces like the Crimson Beast Tamer, whose skill is, she's a 9k by the way, also got a power buff. And then during your turn, if you have a Crimson Beast Tamer in your soul, she gets plus 3k. So she's a 12k attacker. Together with the Crimson and the Turquoise in one column, you get a 22k line, which is really, really big. So that's honestly really, really good for this deck. Night Juggler is also very nice on place, soul charge 1. You can, of course, like I said, with the effects of things like Midnight Bunny, you know, hit and then call Night Juggler out, and then you're going to be able to soul charge again during the battle phase. So it's definitely good for that reason. Mirror Demon is also an on-hit, so this is when he hits Vanguard, you may counterblast 1 and put him into your soul, and then choose anything from your soul that is not the Mirror Demon and call it to rearguard circle. So basically, attack with it, and then use a skill to call out another attacker and attack with that attacker again. So it's pretty good for that reason. Then, this is the 10k vanilla. It is a Chimera, so keep that in mind. There will be cards that call out Chimeras in this deck. And so then, we have the Elephant Juggler. So this one is when he's on Vanguard Circle. For each card rearguard that you place, you soul charge 1. And then Jumping Jill is when she's called from soul. She gets plus 3k for that turn, so she's a 12k attacker as well. Pretty nice. Then this one is the Piero. So this one is when his attack hits, you may soul charge 1. Some people use this, some people don't. This card is not that good. It's the Cycling Actor. So on place, you may, for that turn, give another unit, plus 2k. So that's also pretty nice. Do you suggest you always leave at least one slot open on your board and pull stuff out of your soul? That depends. Pale Moon is quite difficult to play, so you need to really... It depends on the situation how you want to do that. Then we have Alice, who is going to be a ranked reward later on with this exclusive artwork, but Alice's skill is pretty nice. It's also a rearguard circle when the attack hits the Vanguard. You may counterblast 1 and put her into your soul, and then you choose a card that is not Nightmare Doll Alice and call her to rearguard circle. So, or call it basically. So you can again extend with Purple Trapezist, extend, call down things like this and swing for more attacks. Now, of course, some of these cards, have pretty low power, so we need a card that helps us boost that power, and that card is Golden Beast Tamer. So, Golden Beast Tamer's skill, first he has Restraint, and to release Restraint you need to Soul Blast 2, which is a little bit heavy, so usually you need to be careful. One thing that's important about Pale Moon is that when you Soul Blast, it doesn't let you choose, but it Soul Blast the most recent card you put into Soul. So you can put your starter into Soul on turn 3, and then, you basically get to Soul Blast unimportant cards. So then you Soul Blast 2 to release Restraint. On Vanguard Circle, you only need to lose Restraint once and it's gone for the whole game. And then her skill is, first, Vanguard Circle on place, you may call a Chimera from your soul to rearguard circle. So you ride her, and you call this grade 2 10k. That's free value. Really, really nice. But then her third skill, actually, which is super good, is during your turn, all of your front row rearguards get plus 3k. So this is really nice because, like we said, those 22k columns with Crimson and Turquoise, suddenly 25, and your 10k, 10k is turning into 13ks, with a 7k boost, it's 20k, all that stuff. It's really good for building numbers. She's very, very important right now in early Pale Moon, just to get that front row buff. And I feel like, I'm not sure if she will be used as much in the future, because you can still build strong columns with the upcoming support without her, but she's really good for that front row buff. The worst part about her is unleashing Restraint, because that Soul Blast 2 is pretty heavy for Pale Moon. Quite a few decks use Robert. I used them a lot at the start, but then I stopped. He is, during your turn, if you have 6 or more soul, he has plus 3k. And then at the beginning of your main phase, you may soul charge 1 and look at the top card of your deck and put it on top or bottom. And then he has a Mega Blast skill, which is Soul Blast 6, Counterblast 4, and you choose all of your opponent's grade 1 or less rearguards and put them into their soul. So it's really not that good. This skill isn't that good. The main reason why you would ride him is to build up a soul. So you sit on him for a couple turns, soul charge, soul charge, soul charge, and then basically you just want to, build up the soul for your multi-attacks. A lot of people also run the Barking Manticore. So Barking Manticore is also pretty simple. When placed on Vanguard Circle, you may put a card from your hand, you may draw a card and put a card from your hand into your soul, so you get to get extra soul out of it. And then during your turn, if you have a Crimson Beast Tamer, he gets plus 3k power. So this is both on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, so he's a 13k attacker with that. Then we have the Mistress Hurricane. So this card is also pretty okay for a budget variant of the clan. So when you have 6 or more soul, she gets a permanent plus 1k. And when placed on Vanguard Circle, you may counterblast 2 and call a card from your soul to Rearguard Circle. So pretty good for that reason, just to get yourself a plus 1 for counterblast 2. So it's definitely pretty nice. And then the 13k attacker is when he's boosted, he for that battle gets plus 3k power. So this makes really nice columns. You do want to use this as your heal in the deck, because we will get a better version of this card in the next set in Japanese. But for now, this card is definitely very good. So Pale Moon, how good is Pale Moon? Honestly, on release, very good. It's going to be, if you can play Pale Moon effectively, you're going to have a great time with it. It is a bit difficult to play, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. You're going to feel very good playing it if you can master it. So put in some time and you will definitely have a good time. But like I said, in terms of importance, Purple Trapeze is a must. This is a must. You must have it. Crimson Beast Tamer might fall off. For now, it's going to be still used. Alice, it's a must on release, but it's a ranked reward, and then I'm not sure how useful it will be in Lukier. We're gonna see. I'm not sure. The problem with Alice is that she has to hit Vanguard. So basically, it's because you still need to hit the rear guards, it's pretty iffy because of that reason. So you need to be careful when it comes to that. And then of course, this will be really good on release, the Golden Beast Tamer, but she might fall off. We're not sure yet. Robert, don't care. It's actually not that great. And then finally, we have my favorite clan, Dimension Police. So Dimension Police comes out, you know, with full-on justice, ready to scream. Of course, no Great Daiyusha yet. We're not getting it in Japanese until June, but in English, we're going to be having this first set just around the corner. So we're going to take a look at everything. You get two different starters. First is the Worker Pod Saturday, who got a big upgrade. So he used to be a 6k vanilla, and what they did instead is they gave him Forerunner and Counterblast 1 and rest this unit to give another one of your units plus 2k power. So this is really nice because, as you probably remember, DP needs to hit certain power thresholds. Like Enigma Storm needs to hit 15k to get the crit, and then Daiyusha needs to hit 14k to get his crit. So really good for that reason. Helps you hit that power threshold. The deck only counterblasts for the power additions. That's basically it. So then, of course, we also have Enigman Flow. So when he's on Vanguard Circle and a Enigman Ripple rides on top of him, you may search an Enigman Wave. So Enigman Ripple is the grade 1, Enigman Wave is the grade 2. So basically, you don't need to actually keep grade 2s in your hand if you have the Enigman grade 1, because they will search just by riding. So it's really good for that reason. And then, of course, in Soul, when Enigman Storm rides, then you can choose the Enigman Flow, the grade 0, and call it onto your rearguard circle from Soul. So basically, you get to just have a free booster. They basically gave this buff to every single Forerunner that works this way for the right chain. So like Full Bow has it, as well as like Enigman and decks like that. So it's really, really good for that reason. So those are the starters, and then also, of course, Dai is here too. He's your Counterblast 1, put him into Soul, look at the top 5 to search a grade 3. He's not used right now. Right now you mostly use these first two, but he might see some use in the future. Then, of course, the commander that has commanded Dimension Police since day one, hit the ban list in Japanese, barely dodged it in English until the reboot, and now sits at a whole 1 copy, feels Laurel Man in chat. So, Laurel got a huge buff. He's 7k power. 7k power Laurel. Reminder, he was 4k in the original TCG. So, actual proper grade 1. And then his rearguard skill is the same as what you remember. When the Vanguard's attack hits, you may rest 4 rearguards to restand your Vanguard. So, really, really cool. This is basically just, you can attack with your Vanguard to your opponent's rear. If you hit, rest 4, and then you restand your Vanguard and swing with the crit and end the game. Perfect. So Laurel will always be good, even though you don't add drive checks to hand like in the traditional card game, but it's still really good for, you know, having 4 checks per turn and being able to, you know, just restand, get extra attacks, try to end the game with those threatening crits. So Laurel, in my opinion, 4 of. Absolute 4 of. Especially, like, if it was 4k power, I would say 2 to 3 maybe. But when it's 7k, like, one of the problems with Laurel back in the day was that if you rode him, your opponent just rushes you and you die much faster. But then, if Laurel is 7k, he's just a normal grade 1, even if you ride him. So, 4 of, in my opinion, definitely. So then, moving on, of course, the PG, nothing special here. This is the Enigman Ripple, so when you have Enigman Flow in the Soul, he has plus 2k permanently. And then, rearguard circle on place, you may discard a grade 3 to search your deck for an Enigman Storm. So basically, you can get your grade 3 out regardless. So he runs 3 of him, by the way. Yes, I do in Enigman, because there's no space for more than 3 in Enigman, but when Great Daiyusha comes out, he will be a 4 of, so keep that in mind. But anyway, so this is of course necessary for Enigman. The Glory Maker is when she boosts the Vanguard and you have 4 or more damage. She is a 10k booster, pretty lackluster. You don't want to be sitting on 4 damage for too long. This is the 8k vanilla. This is a Counterblast 1, gain 1k power, can be repeated. Cosmo Roar is a good card. You rest him and give one of your units plus 2k power. So this helps you basically get extra power in your Vanguard for those thresholds without counterblasting. So you do want to run this in most DP variants, and it's only a common, so it's really easy to get. And then, of course, the Quilt. She's really good in the reboot. In the original card game, not so much. She's, when the boosted attack hits, you may discard 1 to draw 1. So she's pretty okay. Cosmo Beak is one of the best grade 2 double rares here. It's an on-place rearguard circle, count +2, and give your unit plus 4k power. So this is enough to, of course, activate your power thresholds in this clan. Then we have the Daiyusha. Daiyusha will be pretty important. As you can see, I only have 3, and I accidentally crafted an SP when it came out, so that really set me back on how fast I could get these 4 Daiyushas. But Daiyusha is actually quite good. When her attack hits a Vanguard, for that turn, one of your units gets plus 3k. So it doesn't actually do too much right now in Dimension Police, so you don't actually want to play it, but in the future this might see more use, especially with Goyusha releasing, but we're not too sure about that just yet. But as a skill it's pretty good, but of course it does have to hit Vanguard. Then Enigman Wave, when you have Enigman Ripple in the Soul, permanent plus 1k, and then his skill is when his attack hits a Vanguard, if before the attack his power was 14k or higher, so here we get to the thresholds, you may draw 1. So this is pretty nice because you on hit draw 1, and then if you have Laurel in the back, you can restand, you can rest 4, restand your wave, attack again, if it hits, draw a second card. So you can get 2 draws in 1 turn, which is pretty good as well. Daiyusha uses him, which is Platinum Ace, which is also one of the key cards, you know, in the V series. So his skill is when he attacks, if before the attack his power was 13k or higher, he gets +1 crit for that battle. So this is again kind of like an alternative. You can threaten crit against your opponent really early and play like a super aggressive crit heavy deck to try and steal the game on turn 3. So for that reason, the Diamond Ace is pretty good. Sorry, Platinum Ace. Diamond Ace is a baseball anime. This is the 12k attacker, so basically, if your Vanguard is Enigman Storm or Enigman Ripple, he loses 5k, but other than that, he's going to be a 12k power Vanguard. This is the 10k Vanilla. This is the Grender, Masked Police Grender. So his skill is when he attacks for that turn, your Vanguard gets plus 2k power. So this is also pretty nice because it's kind of like Cosmo Roar, except it can also work when you attack. So it's pretty good for that reason. So that's it for the grade 2s. And so now we get to the grade 3s. Of course, the Chad himself, Daiyusha. He got a pretty nice buff as well. Of course, he's still 10k power, and his second skill is when he attacks the Vanguard, if before the attack the power was 14k or higher, he gains a crit. But he got an extra skill, which is Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, Canalast 2 to give him plus 2k. So if you don't draw into your Cosmo Beaks and stuff like that, then you can help to build up his power. Right now, sadly, Daiyusha isn't that good. Daiyusha on his own as a card isn't actually that good. It's his evolution that is good. It's when he evolves and when he transforms into his further forms, like Great Daiyusha and Reverse Daiyusha in the future, where you do want him for that cross-ride number. And so you want to use Goyusha, you know, to put him into the soul and then Superior Ride and, you know, do all that nice stuff. So it's pretty good for that reason. Of course, Great Daiyusha doesn't release in Japanese until June, so it's going to be a while away for English too, but if you can, pick up 4. I mean, just look at him. He's beautiful. Your game, like, just the app on your phone will feel more blessed. You'll start to feel like a light radiating from your phone because you have 4 Daiyusha in your account. So, I mean, I'm kidding, but of course, Daiyusha is pretty great. Then, of course, the grade 3 for this set is Enigman Storm. If you have Enigman Wave in your soul, which is the grade 2, he has a permanent plus 1k, so he's an 11k base, which is of course very important. And so his second skill is, when he attacks the Vanguard, if the power before the attack was 15k, then he gains a crit. So of course you want to use cards like Cosmo Beak to give him that extra 4k to get to 15, so then you can threaten a crit all the time. It's basically like Risers and the Majesty Lord Blaster. Then if you want to build budget Dimension Police, you want to play Enigman Rain. Her skill is, when she attacks the Vanguard and the attack hits, if before that attack her power was 12k or higher, then you may stand one of your rear guards. So that's also a very good ability because it pairs up with another grade 3, which is the Miracle Beauty. So Miracle Beauty's skill is, if she stands during your battle phase, then you can also stand the unit behind her as well. So you get a full column restand, and it's really good because you can basically go like rear guard, attack with Enigman Wave, and then you hit, and then you restand the Miracle Beauty and attack again. So it's really good for that reason. You get full attacks out of it with boost, and that's pretty good. This is a really important grade 3 as well, which is the Cosmo Great. This didn't release this early in the physical TCG, but it's very, very important card. Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, when placed, count +2, and for that turn, give one of your other units plus 4k. So just like Cosmo Beak helps you reach that plus 4k, that 15k threshold for the Enigman Storm, so it's really important to run him as a 4 of as your heal trigger. And then finally, some people run him, which is the Enigman Shine. So this is just when the attack hits a Vanguard, you may give one of your other units plus 3k for that turn. So it's the exact same as the Die Lady. So that's basically it. That is what these clans have for all 3 out of this set. So this is like the set 2 part 3 basically, but it's also kind of a set 3. Laurel Miracle Beauty meme still playable? Yes it is. Yes it is. Especially with Laurel being 7k, you're going to actually hit nice numbers here. So yeah, this set is pretty good. It's not meta changing. If you still want to play the most meta decks from this new update, you're still looking at Novas, and you're still looking at the boy Perfect Riser. So this is still one of the best, and of course for OTT, Tsukuyomi is also a deck that you want to look at. So, of course, that was covered in a different video, so if you want to hear the stuff from the set 2, so the part 1 of this set review, make sure to watch that on the channel as well. That is also basically covered in very good depth. So, yeah, this is this set review, and then we're going to be taking a look at the next one, well, next month, basically. So, that'll be your tea for the time. But that's going to be it for this video. We're going to get the chat to say bye-bye, YouTube, and then we're going to peace out. So, yeah, pretty good update. It's nice to see my favorite clan in the game a bit earlier, but of course, you know, it is more cards for people to chase. So, on that note, we're going to end it here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.